remember when I was just 3, my parents were working parents, so I grew up with maids and nannies, and I grew up with my maids and nannies, and I had no, like, I'll come back from school and it would just be me and the nanny. And we had one when I was between the ages of 2 and 3. I believe that woman was just possessed and sick in the head. I don't think she was more than 18 or 19. And she just derived pleasure bullying me. She would not feed me. Whenever she was horny, she would force me to suck her breast. She would use my fists to masturbate. She would tie my mouth and punish me. Like, she just enjoyed torturing me. Clearly, she was someone who was abused when she was younger. And if you've noticed a pattern, hurt people hurt other people. And because I was still learning to talk, and she would tell me that if I told my parents that it's hard that I'll be left with, my parents would go to work, that she would starve me. And poor kid like me, I liked food. And I would cry, and I would try to use my body language to tell my parents that I was not okay, but they didn't really understand while I was younger. And one of those days, my parents came back earlier than she thought, and she tied my mouth, turned off the lights, and lied to them that I was asleep. And I was gagging, and I was about to lose my front teeth. I can't remember what age I was when I was already beginning to lose my teeth. That the teeth in front was under so much pressure that it fell, and I swallowed it. It was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life, that it was until I got older and got married that I told my parents about it, because at that time I didn't know how to tell them. Unfortunately, her mistreatment to me made me start to think evil thoughts, because since my parents could not know, since I couldn't do anything about it, I started to wish bad things to her. And I remember one time we were in the balcony of my house. This was in Port Harcourt. My father was posted to Port Harcourt at the time. We were in the balcony and she was eating, and I was looking at her eat, and a fly was perching around her spoon, and she wasn't paying attention, and she ate the fly. For some reason, I felt that was justice served, but that was not the only time. As I got older, different series of abuse happened to me in my young age, and I know the impact it has had on my life. Even now that I'm married, there are times that Teddy and I have to really sit down and talk about certain things, because certain things are like triggers for me sexually. And if not that I've grown older and I'm more mature, and I've seen a therapist, and I have learned to deal with it, and I'm married to a man who understands, and we have learned to go on the journey together. How much more those who don't know any better? How much more those who don't have the opportunity to be married to men who understand? How much more those who have refused to marry at all? How much more those who now, because they were molested by women, think they're lesbians, or they were molested by men, think that they're homosexuals? And it's just a programming that has made them to believe that since I had it, my first experience this way, maybe that is who I am. I believe those are lies from the pit of hell. I don't believe anyone deserves any form of abuse. This is something that has been programmed into my subconscious from the age of 3, between the ages of 3 and 8. And these are the formative years of every child. Why would parents be comfortable? And most of them were even women. This maid I'm talking about was a female, was a young girl who used me to masturbate, who used me to satisfy herself, and who tortured me mentally, because if I didn't indulge her, she would deprive me of food or just lock me in the room and not give me any, that's really messed up, and that can damage any child. But thank God for the Holy Spirit. Thank God for...
Hi guys, welcome to Life with Queenette. How are you enjoying your weekend? This story came buzzing just last week, and I couldn't ignore it. No matter how hard I tried, it was a story that I needed to talk about. This the personality on this video is called Bambam. She was an ex-BB Naija housemate who got married to her fellow BB Naija housemate by name Teddy A. Last week, she made a very deep revelation about how she was abused between the ages of 3 and 8. Can you guys imagine that? That was crazy. That was devilish. That was evil. Okay? And you know, these things, just because she made mention of it to look as if it was peculiar to her, it was strange and all that, these things have been happening, you know, where you have working parents especially, right? Yes, you know, so you're left in the care of the nanny or nannies, and you're left with, even when you are staying with your parents or your mother's siblings, or things could still go awry. I'm telling you, because I've heard stories of people who were living, not nannies, not house helps, I've heard a story from a guy who, the person living with them was this. Yeah, the person living with them was the mom's younger sister. I'm talking about a guy here, the mom's younger sister. And this guy told me his story. He had his first sexual experience with this particular sister, with this particular aunt who was living with them, because he also had working parents. Until today, that has affected him. He believes that he's not meant to date younger girls. He feels he's meant to date older women. And even though he's married now, I don't know how he's coping, because he will always talk about it, how that is not just, he doesn't feel the women except when he meets older people. And so you see that this particular aunt had ended up destroying his mental, emotional states at a tender age. And so this is a clarion call for young moms, would-be moms. Don't just because the person is your sister, it is your brother, it is your whatever, and then you trust the person so much that you leave your child. You know, most parents would even come back without trying to find out from their children if they were abused or something happened to them or so and so. We could make all the money in the whole world, but have disillusioned children. So for me, this is something we should look into, and as a young mom too, I'll not hesitate to look at it. And nobody will like that your child was abused by a demented soul. Okay, somebody who will make the child start thinking differently, start talking differently, believing he's meant to live a certain kind of life when it's not actually true, believing a lie because that's what he or she was exposed to at an early, age and all that. Even when you grow and become an adolescent, because you've witnessed this, sometimes it's like there's a ripple effect. The thing keeps coming back and keeps haunting you. Just imagine where the husband is not understanding, because she mentioned that sometimes they need to sit down and talk because she has triggers, all right? She's like someone who had been beaten up by a snake. Anything you see that is long because, yeah, anything you see definitely will look like a snake. But this is not laughing matter, it's a serious matter. Like, can imagine it was last week that she came up with this story. I've been trying very hard to pretend not to see, but it's something that we need to talk about. It's something that new moms, older moms, would-be moms should consider. It's not as if you're going to be suspecting every single person, but the truth of the matter is, don't trust people too much that you wouldn't, safeguard the sanctity of your kids. Okay, yes, if things are quite difficult and we're all running helter-skelter, we're trying to see if we can help the family, help the children, make a better, give them the best that they would require. But then, remember that if this child is abused, no matter how hard you try, you're not going to be able to help that child heal as fast as you would love to. And even the parents will be affected, because just hearing, I can imagine what happened to her when she told her mom. Okay, she would have been shocked. She would have felt bad all through. I don't know, but I'm sure the experience wouldn't have been wonderful. This is where we're going to stop here for today. Thank you for always staying here, and I promise that every Sunday I will come up with a reaction video that will teach us one or two things based on what this channel is about. All right, so I love you guys. Please subscribe, like the video, thumbs up. Let's help this community to grow. Let's help it to flourish. We have this thing of getting at least 1,000 subscribers and meeting our watch hour this year, and I'm sure that you want to help me get to that milestone. Thank you so very much for always coming back to this channel.